Okay, it's the long-haired hippie again. We're back on Ma's truck doing the radiator. We pulled off the hood, pulled off the radiator supports from here to here. Just this little work on getting this hood to work, to be a functioning part that you can take off and on. When I built the thing, it looks pretty simple, but it wasn't. But we're starting on the hoses and stuff for the radiator, get it off, get the shell off possibly, see which way we're going. Okay, the radiator's out. Just gonna start taking the things off of the old radiator and putting them on the new one. Get it going. Start off the project. Pretty straightforward stuff. As you can see, the new radiator is quite a bit bigger than the old one. Hopefully that's good. Okay, everything's going in pretty good, better than what I kind of thought it would. We're gonna have to redo the tranny lines. They're solid tubing right now. Got one out. Got the other one just bent down. They'll hook in slightly different, so I'm gonna try to go to maybe a stainless steel braided line. If I can come up with those, maybe like for a brake line or something, if they got the same tips on them. Up here, the top's getting pretty close. Had to pull the ornament out, cut the brass nut off of it, or cut it down just so that it wouldn't stick down so far. The top of the radiator's getting pretty close. This is the ornament, and what I had to do, just some brass nut that I had finally found that fit the threads on the bottom of this thing. Talk about a chase, for the inner threads on stuff like that right there on the edge. I couldn't find anything to adapt in just to make this work. It's just for looks, obviously. Made this little spacer to go in on top of the grill shell just to fit together, but the nut was hanging down just a little bit too far. Give us some clearance. It fits in here pretty good. Getting the brackets adapted over. Top of the radiator is gonna kick backwards just a little bit just to make it fit. Took the fan off. Hopefully we won't have to run it again. Hopefully this radiator does its job. Water neck. This radiator's a center discharge or center feed on the top, so we're gonna go to this water neck. This radiator has provision for the thermostat down on the bottom of it. I don't care for that. For a fan, it'd be great. I gotta rethink how I got my fan for the motor running. If it's off of this water neck. If it is, I'll try to figure out a way to still use something up here or on the side of the head, maybe for the temp for the block to run the fan. For the motor dedicated, but we're getting there. Okay, since this radiator is a couple inches taller, we cut us a couple more little support pieces, because on these I nut zerted in to fit on the other radiator, the top tabs. This one is a couple inches taller, so we'll weld these on up here. You're probably looking at this metal like, boy, couldn't you finish them up or something? The idea was for this stuff to rust, look kind of like the rest of the truck, but it didn't work. It's probably got some oils on it. When I'm done welding them, I'll take them in, wash them up, and then spray some rust promoter on them. Get them to look a little more like the rest of the truck. I guess we did also change up the mounting for the condenser. Mounted it inside these little side shields they got on the radiator. The other one was mounted around the corner from the front. So all these little bugs that sat on here during the winter, got a bunch of mold on them. I'll have to pressure wash that off. Okay, we got our side brackets, kind of new tabs welded on them, and everything looks like it'll line up. It's able to get the condenser fitting in, hooked up. And they got this little place down here for regular AC fittings I'm thinking to go through, or tranny cooler lines, whatever. I'm gonna have to cut that little tab off, little tit right in the middle, make that smooth so when I push the radiator back in place, the line will go through. These AC lines I bought online. They're pretty easy to make. I got a little hydraulic crimper. It's handheld. You just cut the line hose to however long you want, put them together, crimp them on. You can make all this stuff right here in the garage pretty easy. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. I got this crimper online probably a few years ago for like 250 bucks. I think I got it through Amazon. But it makes it so you can do your own AC lines really easy. You just cut your hose to whatever length you want. You get the end of your hose. Like if I was gonna put a union in, I'd just cut the hose and then slide the hose in. Here you have this on your tip of your line, slide your hose into it, put it in here in the jaws. You got all these different jaws for whatever line size you're doing. Put it in there, just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Works good, crimps it down. You know, if you make a mistake, the stuff's not expensive, the hose and the pieces, you just make you a new one. But so far I haven't had it make a mistake. This is what the completed fittings look like. You know, it puts a pretty good crimp on them. These have been on here now for a year. They're doing pretty good. Okay, we got it back out again. We're gonna put our nut zert in this top bracket. Drill the hole in the top tab and put it back in again. Okay, we're getting a little closer. It's pretty much in place. The top tabs, they don't quite line up. I'm gonna have to make an extension on them. I'm not taking it out again or anything though. I'll do that in place. I did notice that the thermostat housing that I got to take off, that temperature right there will be for the fan right next to it. There is one in place for the motor temp, so I don't have to worry about changing out the water neck for a different one and not having a spot. I'll put it at the bottom of the radiator. Getting closer. Got air conditioning lines to finish up. The bottom one, it came out real close. And the lower radiator hose, and I'll have to put on some kind of support and guard to keep it from getting rubbed by the belt by chance. Other than that, getting close. Get the fan in. Okay, she's getting close. Basically, it's in shroud. I ended up just riveting because it's really close to the core and I didn't want to pop a hole in anything. So I drilled real careful in that. Not real happy with the upper radiator hose. It needs to be a tad bit longer, but it'll get me going. And the radiator cap, it's really tight to the radiator shroud, so I'll have to hollow that out a little bit and hope it'll work. But it's getting close. About an hour more and we'll test drive it. Okay, she ran. Fan came on about 180, 185. Goes off and on right about there. About crapped when I had a couple leaks, but they were easies. I just didn't put the thermostat or the petcock in too tight to begin with, just to be safe, and had to tighten them up a little bit more. Got the reservoir on. Plugging off the breather cap, run on the PVC. Tomorrow we'll put the hood on and get that taken care of. Got a little wowie in the edge of the front edge of the hood. Bang that out. Put the sides back on and call her good. Let the wife see what she does. Radiator in. Just set the hood back up on top. Getting ready to put the hood sides on. We run it yesterday. Like I said, found our couple leaks. Gonna finish up the hood sides, push it over here to the side and get it out of here. Rearrange the garage. We'll get my dory down and do a couple little things to her. We do have that tanks sender unit to put in Ma's truck. That's something we'll do when we get my dory off the lift. We'll put the truck up on the lift and get to the gas tank fuel sending unit lines and figure out a good place to put that. This is what it is. It's called the Tanks Meter Match. I liked it because made in America. You watch a YouTube video on it. Older gentleman. You can tell he's pretty genuine. And it seems like a really good system. Doesn't work only for fuel tanks. It works for all different gauges. Does quite a bit of stuff. So if you got some electronics that are messing up, watch this video on YouTube. This thing does quite a bit. Okay, so I started putting on the sides. I just got little, I think 3/16 or maybe a little bit bigger round rod that I used to go through the hinge. Comes out real easy. That way when we're on the road, if we're having some overheating problems or anything, you can just open it real quick, pull the rods, and the hood sides come off. Just about ready for take this thing out and see what it does. She's been missing it. She really likes this truck. Gives her a little bit of happiness in her life to use it in conjunction with her dogs and dog rescuing, all that kind of stuff. That's what she likes to do in this truck. Gives her a good base to do it in. Just doing a safety check, make sure all of her lights and things work. Wouldn't want anything to happen. Short little 20-minute test drive. Okay, we got stuff switched around in the garage. Got Durtdog up on the lift. Like I said, I'm going to show you a little bit underneath. Everything in these old trucks is tight. So you got power steering hiding up in there. You get your air conditioning, and can't really see, but it's only got about an eighth of an inch, or excuse me, about 3/8 of an inch clearance from the pulley. Trying to find the brackets to get that done was fun, but there's been so much stuff made for everything that if you just search, you're gonna find the parts that you need. Like I said, front cross member, that is Heights, full complete. It's a universal kit. I believe they called it the 62-inch. So it was everything, the cross member all the way across up, spring pocket perches, and 2-inch Heights drop spindles. And we went with just not sure what the make was, but just a Chevy newer, more modern disc brake kit on it. Steering was a little bit of a bugger to get, figure out a set of headers and motor mounts and everything in the tight area that would actually work. You know, and all this stuff I do just here in the garage, so yeah, I'm sure some high dollar manufacturer hot rod shop could get it done pretty quick, but most of my time spent is just research, trying to figure out how to make something work, besides the fact that we're an hour and a half from the local store to buy parts or anything. And then you got the below the floor brake booster I put in. That was only to get it off the firewall because I didn't like it on the firewall. I could have put it back up on the firewall like stock, but didn't want to. Tranny is a 700 R4. We adapted it over to the electronic speedometer. This right here in this area is the underside of the box, which is the air conditioner in the floor. That, in order to run your heater control valve remotely without doing a cable, I opted for the electronic shut-off valve. That comes with a whole lot of wiring in itself. You wouldn't think it'd be much, but it is. And they turn out to be a chore just to find where to mount the box and all that. And we got our electronic park and brake. This one is not the stop it. It's a, or e-stop, I guess is what they call the one that's manufactured for the sole purpose of that. This is just an aftermarket afterthought. This is the Brill battery. They call it a B3121, but it's a lightweight. It's only like 20 pounds. It's pretty small. I'm actually surprised it does pretty good. But they do suggest that you keep them charged and on a charger if you're not using it. So we do that. That's the noisy ass fuel pump. That, according to eBay, was supposed to be the quietest in the whole world. Right. So then up here, we got the 9-inch, 8.8 I think is what it is. I'm not a Ford guy, so I'm not sure. We kept the stock leaf springs. I moved the perches and that and took out a bunch of the leaves, modified my spring mount perches. The back brakes are, I believe, a Ford kit with the this one is not park and brake in hat. This is a park and brake that's on the caliper, so possibly it could be Chevy. Wow. And let's get to the back. So in the back we got a stock gas tank. Took it and it was in perfect shape. And I went to drop the truck off of a jack or something one day after I'd put everything together, and tank came down, landed on something, smashed it in, so I ended up taking it and figured I might as well have it all redone. They just coated the outside. I told them I wanted it to look kind of old, so they did try to make sure it was looking pretty. Reverse light, and also when Ma gets the trailer hitch put on, that's me, I'll try to make one. She has an old antique canned ham trailer that she's going to pull with this, and the light's also set up so she can flip the switch and light up her hitch and that, so she can do it in the dark if she has to. That would be this thing. Pardon the mess, this is our overflow garage. This is Ma's trailer. It's a 1957 Corvette. Unfortunately, somebody stole the name tag off of the door, or off by the door, right here. It's gonna stay looking haggard on the outside just like it is. This wasn't cleared out real well from the last time we went camping, but it's pretty dark in here. But this is what she'll be pulling behind Durtdog. Yeah. Like I said, haggard looking, but that's what it's supposed to be to look like. To follow behind for her look. But that's a general view of the underside of Durtdog. We got to go tighten up a tranny line that kind of got loosened up a little bit when we was putting the radiator in, and didn't probably take her for a test spin. Okay, another day out in the garage. We had to take a little hiatus for a couple days on the truck. Moved the garage around. We got Corvette frame and stuff in the middle again. So we could get the truck on, and we got the granddaughter's car in here. It needs a new water pump, which means timing belt, water pump. Which means you got to pull the power steering off, the alternator off, all the covers off, motor mount, jack it up, do your harmonic balancer or crankshaft pulley, I guess, in this. Yeah, we're almost there to get ready to put the water pump on. But all that came off, all this stuff. As soon as we get done with this, we'll get back on the truck and put that tank sending unit on. I thought this was pretty interesting, kind of lets you know how far we've come, especially from the 80s. This is the crankshaft pulley. It's got one V-belt groove because it runs a V-belt for the power steering, a 3-groove serpentine, and a 4-groove serpentine, all for the same car. Nowadays, it would be one serpentine belt. So we got a timing belt, V-belt, and 2 small serpentines. Kind of cool. Okay, can't get much better. The arrow is pointing to the mark inside. You can't see it exactly. Pink mark is right at the mark for the rear timing sprocket. And down there, the crankshaft pulley keyway is directly up. So, and the tensioner is tight. Can't get any better, so that's good. Okay, I guess I'm short-circuiting you guys because I said I was going to talk about this tank's meter match that we're going to use for Ma's fuel gauge. I put it in. This week's been pretty busy with work stuff and just not being able to get too much done, but so I did put the meter match in, and it's by tanks. Like I said, I run a power wire to it. It might screw me, but I don't know. I did come from the fuel pump. I just grabbed power off of the post on it real quick because I want an ignition keyed source. Come over. I got the fuel gauge wire. It runs in this little loom here. I just pulled it out, split it. You got it in and out into the meter match, and then you run power over to it. And the ground, I just went up, put a little ground right there. And when you have this open, you give it power, and then it's got a series of buttons inside that you push. You can make your gauge go up and down and match. It's got some hertz that you can match with what you believe your fuel tank sender unit is. On mine, it's got an up-down buttons for adjusting your gauge, and mine was backwards. You push it up, it goes down on the gauge. You push it down, it goes up. But it says don't worry about that. It should be mounted inside. So later on I'll probably run a line to it and put it inside the cab but for right now we're going to a car show this weekend and just want to get it done. But sorry for that, but I did short circuit you. Back in another garage is ground. To get their trap, doing dog stuff.